Coming up, we're going to celebrate the summer by talking about movies. It's blockbuster season, so we're having fun with it. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the Universal edition of The Diz Unplugged. This is episode 184 of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. The Diz Unplugged Universal Edition is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Universal vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com for your no-obligation quote. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. I am your host, Craig Williams. Today I'm joined alongside by my co-host, Mr. Ryno Clavin.
Hello.
Hey, and in this one we are talking all about Universal movies. I know we do this every now and then where we like to reflect and ponder and wonder, like, what is the future of Universal? What is the current state of Universal at that same time too? So yes. Okay.
Universal's hottest new club.
Ryno's really on a Stefan kick right now, so that would explain it for you there. But yeah, so I will actually this was something that wasn't even on my radar to really do, but just to give you the context of the time period that we are recording this, we are we're about mid-July right now. Towards the end of July, actually, more on that side. And I was driving in my car, and I was thinking about a current release that just came out. And I'm not going to specifically say it because I know we're going to talk about it in a little bit more just in a second. But I'll just say when I saw the title, I was like, oh, here we go again. But I'm in the spirit of the movies, like I said. So I wanted to, of course, have just a little discussion of starting off with the movie, the specifically Universal movies. That is not we're not going to talk about Potter this episode or anything off Universal grid. It's represented in there, but they don't own that property. I want to give a salute almost to like the 5 best Universal franchises that are actually featured, and not necessarily franchises. It can be standalone movies too, but the ones that you can experience at Universal and our thoughts on them. And then we're also going to play the fun game of let's take a look at what the other biggest movies and franchises are that aren't represented at Universal, and if we think they'll ever be, or if we think they should.
One. Because I was going to go,
Oh, well, I'm glad you did. So I think we're going to start off by going over the movies and franchises that are currently at Universal. They're represented. You can go see them, and just our brief thoughts and opinions on them. And of course, we have to start out with the one that is Universal's big summer release. I finally have seen the sequel, so I'm now opening the floor to all spoilers out there. So if you still haven't seen it yet, I apologize. But of course, I'm talking about Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom as that movie in the Jurassic World franchise, in the greater Jurassic Park franchise.
I lost you for a second.
What do we think about Jurassic Park featured at Universal? Do we think it's well represented, underrepresented?
I feel like I don't know that it's. I feel like it's. I like the area that it occupies, the amount of space it has. I feel like it is being underutilized. I feel like the river attraction is great.
River Adventure.
But I feel like there should be another marquee attraction as well that's not Pterodon Flyers. That should be something like, and I get it if you want to keep it all Jurassic Park oriented, but there could be something else, I think.
Yeah, and that's a lot of the speculation right now is that there will be a new attraction coming to Jurassic Park area. So that could end up playing out. I think it's one that will. There's always been the speculation that there will be another added addition in there. I mean, for the longest time before Kong was settled on, it was even talked about, okay, well, that could be used for more Jurassic Park too. So I would have to tend to agree with...
Not the Lost World.
You
Jurassic
don't want
Park as
anything
well.
with
Yeah.
nothing with the Lost World. What about with Fallen Kingdom?
I think Fallen Kingdom would be a great Halloween Horror Nights house because it's essentially a scary mansion with dinosaurs in it. If you haven't seen the movie yet, like if you've seen the trailer, that stuff you saw in the trailer that everyone was like, "You showed us the end of the movie." Oh no, that's the first like 20 minutes of the movie. The rest of it is all in this mansion.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Ooh, spooky!" But
Oh no, it was spooky, and I didn't understand why you kept saying that up until the point I actually saw the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And
Were you like,
then
how are they
it
gonna do
finally dawned on me. It's like, oh no, this really would. And I
a
feel
big
like
Indoraptor puppet.
yeah. Did you get to go to the year of Cabin in the Woods?
No.
No, yeah. It's the see. I feel like that it could be like a house could be done similar to how that one kind of was.
I heard that
with,
one was good.
Oh, it was. So it's a movie that I enjoy, and I thought it was translated very well into a house as well.
My hope is that they don't do Jurassic Park and Jurassic World together in the park. I don't want like you're on this side of the street and it's Jurassic Park, you're on this side of the street, it's Jurassic World. I like the idea that if they do have another full-on like a fourth park, that they'll have like that's Jurassic World, and
Yeah.
then they'll keep ours like the classic Jurassic Park, and maybe have something that would have been a throwback to that. And keep it kind of like so you can be like Universal through the ages, as opposed to being like it's all Jurassic World now.
Yeah, and that would obviously be my hopes and wants with it too. I don't know though. It just because Jurassic World is such a powerhouse franchise, it feels like it's really hard to ever criticize anything from my childhood. Jurassic Park, the original Jurassic Park, is an absolute masterpiece. It's
100%.
It is one of the greatest movies ever made, in my opinion.
I
and
think
I
it's
will stand by that.
Possibly Steven Spielberg's. I mean, I would argue it's his best work. I know people are like Schindler's List.
No, there's one more on our list that we're going to talk about that is his best.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree with the other one as well.
But
it's right there in that time frame, in that 10 years.
The thing is, I would say with Jurassic Park, because technology came along so much further, there was a sense of realism in Jurassic Park with the use of not just actual like puppets and animatronics, but also computer graphics that just it made it so real. And I loved it when I saw it. Terrified, but loved it.
Wouldn't it be cool if there was a ride that was like you were in the Jeep? And it was kind of like a roller coaster, because we're at that point with technology that, I mean, think about how Gringotts is. You're on that Kuka arm. Imagine it. You're in a thing and you get to the gate. And so you're in a car. And I'm not saying the whole thing is projections, but somehow they seal the car right before it starts raining. So they roll up the windows and they're actually screens like you're on the train, and the T-Rex comes out and flips your car over. And so you're in a harness in the seat. So, you're upside down. I was thinking because with the way we've done projection technology and screens and stuff like that, you'd be able to do both, because if the windows go up, the screens come up.
See, I thought you were going to say it was going to be a launch attraction where you're going to sit next to a bloody Jeff Goldblum and a T-Rex is going to be chasing after you.
And the animatronic Jeff Goldblum just keeps leaning in, going, "Let's go faster."
Yeah, that's it.
And now here I am talking to myself.
But yeah, so Jurassic Park, a great movie. Even though it was such an important part of my childhood, The Lost World is not a good movie.
Oh my God, get over yourself.
I
don't think it's a bad movie. I don't. It's obviously not the best. Yes, it falls apart. As soon as they go to leave the island, that's where it falls apart for me. I love everything before that, though. What don't you like about before that?
A lot of the acting is just really, really terrible. And I don't know if that's necessarily the acting per se or the dialogue written for it, but it's not A game. It's
you don't like Vince Vaughn and his 5 Deaths.
Yeah. Hey, Vince Vaughn, he had his ups and downs.
I remember being in the theater. So this is the thing about that one is yeah, there are some weird, there's some weird choices in the movie for sure.
The only part of that movie that means anything is the raptor field.
Oh, that part is awesome when they're in the long grass and the tails are thing. I do actually really like the cliff scene still. I know it's similar to the first movie, but I remember when she fell and you don't know it's glass when you first see it, and she hits the glass and it starts to break. And I was like, oh. But my favorite thing is, so that came out in 96, I want to say. 98, maybe? So
97, I think, right?
So somewhere in there, yeah. So, right, I'm still in middle school. And I remember, like, when the girl digs the hole to get out from under the fence, and they're like, is it clear? And then she goes, I'll see you on the other side. And the raptor's head slams down in the hole. I saw that more than once in the movie theater, and I remember, like, I'm going to watch everyone jump at this part because everybody screamed when that happened. And I miss that kind of thing.
I'm not saying it's not terrifying. I saw it at the drive-in and it was terrifying.
Ooh, that would have been spooky.
I'm just saying it doesn't hold up, and we won't even waste any time talking about 3.
I don't even remember there a third movie.
Yeah, and Alan. That's the only way we want the third is represented is with a
that's the only part
with
you
a
watch.
talking
10 seconds.
Velociraptor.
Movie in a nutshell.
Exactly. But with World, I mean, World isn't. I think World is an entertaining movie. And the more time that separates when it first came out, and that nostalgia was just like driving everything. Watching it back now, it's better than Lost World, but it still doesn't hold even a single.
It's got some really cool. It's like what you said. I like it because I think it's a movie that is made specifically for fans of the original, whereas the original you can just watch no matter what. Which is true of any first movie usually. But Jurassic World is really cool because I just love the idea that it gives fans to be like, well, what if Hammond did finish the park and we got all the way through? And I also do love the nods to nostalgia, like you say. It was watching. What was the Universal Cinematic Spectacular?
Yeah,
and that. I think it has a clip of when the door opens and Claire's there with the flare.
Yes,
and
does.
I'm sorry, I don't think Colin Trevorrow is an amazing director. I think Safety Not Guaranteed is an excellent film, and that is the movie that has made his career. But Jurassic World does have a couple of really kind of, for me, almost breathtaking, and that's one of those shots where I'm like, that is haunting.
Yes, it's a one perfect shot.
Yeah.
So if you're on Twitter, which you should be, the year is 2018. Get on Twitter, follow the handle One Perfect Shot, and they collect these perfect shots from movies and put them out there. And it's like it's always a nice reminder. And I would categorize that one as a one perfect shot.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
It brings back feelings of like Alien or Aliens. Aliens, I should say specifically, like Sigourney Weaver with the alien in the suit, or like all that. It's just one of those. It tingles, and I'm happy to have had that feeling with dinosaurs again in a park. And I would love it if we could get an attraction that kind of does that as well.
And Fallen Kingdom, I think it's just a notch below Jurassic World. In my opinion, I went in with the lowest expectations. That's what happens when you see a movie a month after it came out.
Yeah.
You forget about what people were saying right away. I didn't have the hype going in. So it was like, well, I'm not disappointed.
Well, right. And I didn't have I think some people don't like the twist in the movie, and I was like, well, that's the logical progression of where this type of technology goes. Like, if they didn't ever address that, I actually feel like it would have been weird. I think it's got some terrible dialogue at some points, and I feel like it suffers from bad editing as well. But the moments it does right very well.
Yeah.
I do think the opening scene where they're trying to get the thing out of the water and the T-Rex, and it's like lightning and the T-Rex is coming through the trees, horrifying. I think that's great, and I think there are some scary visuals. Some of it comes off a little ridiculous, but I honestly think that comes from the studio picked a independent filmmaker, and he made this movie, and then they're like, okay, we need you to go back and we need some more of these generic scares in it. And so it kind of, those parts don't mix as well.
And the part that Ryno is alluding to, of course, is with the twist. It's a talking velociraptor. So,
full-fledged speech. He actually,
it's really awful. No, so we both agree it needs better representation in Universal, but as long as it's separated. Okay, so next one that's currently represented could use better representation. King Kong.
Better representation, you think? You don't like the attraction?
No, I asked that as a question.
Oh,
do you think it could?
No, I think it's cool because I think it was interesting, even though I never got to experience it. That the old attraction that used to be here, I don't remember what that name specifically was. Confrontation.
Yes.
That I think that was cool because that really felt like an ode to the older movies, where it's like you're in a city and Kong's like.
Yeah.
It feels more like I've got the lady. I can't remember her name, Jessica Lange, we'll say,
Fay Ray.
Fay Ray, and I'm going up the building. It felt like that. And what I like about this Kong is it's like a prequel to that. It's more into the mystery and the depth of like the island itself. You know? It's kind of like, it's almost like this is a prequel attraction.
Yeah. So if you're unfamiliar with Kong 2005, it starts out on like even the original one in 77, it starts out on with going to Skull Island and getting Kong. But the big difference with 2005 versus the other ones is 2005 was it 2.5 hours or 3 hours on release?
It was like 3 hours.
It was 3 hours.
I think it was like 2 hours and like 48 minutes or something ridiculous.
And it was like, I'm probably wrong on the numbers, but I would say an hour 45 to 2 hours of it were on Skull Island. And so it was like the bulk of the movie. And the end sequence in New York was just absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. But so much of the movie was in Skull Island. And then when you get the director's cut where it's even longer, they add even more time on Skull Island.
It's like, good
Lord.
Lord.
Peter Jackson loved him some Skull Island. But it's definitely, in terms of the action, it is super action-packed in those moments when they're on the island. Some super great sequences. So in that mindset, yeah, I actually think it's really well represented right now at Universal. And you can't get much better than that giant Kong animatronic at the end. So
yeah,
I think that one, we both agree on that one. But next one, maybe different. And that is Despicable Me. What do you think? What do you think, C?
I actually, I've only done this attraction like once, I think. But I thought it was like really cute. I really enjoy it because I like that you go in the house and then you're like in the lair with the minions and they're doing this whole, trying to do this whole thing in Groot's like underground lair or whatever. And it's fine. I think it's one of those where it's a little basic, but it's also like, you got to think like Minions, I guess, is for kids of all ages. So I think about it being specifically geared toward like really young kids being able to do it.
Yeah.
But
I would agree with you. I think it is very it's a very fun ride. And while I don't do it very often, it doesn't take away from the enjoyment that I do have when I experience it. And yeah, so I think it's well represented. I think it hits the perfect time in the whole Despicable Me franchise. I do think the first movie is an awesome movie.
Oh, I think it's excellent. Yeah.
I love the second one, I think, was actually really good too. And I saw it in theaters and I loved it. Third one did not hold up.
I didn't finish it yet. I don't know what it is about it that it's just not as. It's hard because what's great about the first one is it's such dark humor.
Yeah.
Because this guy hates everything, so it's kind of that like. We've all been there where like, and that's his mode, and it's heartwarming because like the girls kind of turn him around.
Yeah.
But in the second one, he's still a little mischievous, and I don't know, it just doesn't hold as well. But you're right, I do agree. It does take place in that prime area of the movies,
right in between those two. So you still have Groot has a little bit, or why did I say Groot? Gru has a bit of a nasty
girls. Guardians.
Wow, it's just I don't know where that even came from. I mean, I get it. It's
I want to see that
mashup
now.
You only add an extra OT.
Yeah.
You get it. But regardless, I think that it's right in that perfect time where Gru still has a little nastiness to him, but he is softened up a lot. So,
and isn't the professor in it still too? The guy that
the one that Russell Brand plays.
Yeah, because he's not really in the other ones as much. He's not in the. He's in the second one a lot less than he was in the first one, and then I don't know if he's even in the third one.
In the second one, he leaves him because he's finally done.
Okay, that's what it was.
Gru doesn't want to be a villain, so they're villains.
That's right. Okay,
that's why the minions are minions.
Yeah.
So, so really well done. One that I think we're gonna say is probably not well represented, but I'll still pose the question: Fast and Furious.
You don't think it's well represented? I don't know how else. Okay, I guess I think the queue of the attraction represents it very well. And then I think the actual attraction, like, it's over the top and it's weird, but that's also what the movies are. But I wish it had been more car oriented
Yeah.
because that's what the whole thing is. So I kind of wish it had been maybe a roller coaster, even if it was like if they had done a Rip Ride Rocket overlay and like had made the queue over there, and then the Rip Ride Rocket vehicles were cars somehow. Like I think that would have lent itself a little bit more to the franchise.
As much as I enjoy the ride, and I still stay to this day, it's a dumb ride, but it's a ton of fun. I don't think it's well represented when you step back and consider that this is one of the highest grossing franchises of all time. Billions and billions of dollars with it. And the only thing that they can come up with is this one attraction that's a clone of
that's
the one
thing.
with a little bit of extra additions. It just, so yes, I enjoy the ride. I think it's great, but it's actually not enough for me. It wasn't, I think, when you're looking
it's
in
not
the
too fast and it's not too furious.
I don't know what I expect more out of it. Maybe because it is such a big powerhouse. Maybe it's something where one attraction wasn't good enough. Maybe it did need to be a bigger land with something else, with a stunt show involved too.
Well, here's the thing too: the movie's so like the newest movie has like the submarine and the rock grabbing the missile and throwing it away, and I don't feel like, as ridiculous as the ride is, there's not really any of that really over the top. Like the last one I saw was like the sixth one, and they're jumping across bridges and stuff. Like, yes, there is a bridge jump in this one, but it's very, I don't know. It feels very basic, and like they really wanted to push something into the Hollywood area, and the hope was maybe they'd transform it into a new attraction over here, but they kind of like only did the queue, like I said. If they had taken the attention, I feel like if they had cared for the actual attraction as much as they had cared for that queue, then it would be a different type of experience.
And that's why as much as I love the ride, I think it still deserves more. As long as the rest of the movies that come out continue the success that the franchise has.
Well, imagine
then
like
I think it needs more.
like a test track or a Radiator Springs Racers, but it's
I'm
Fast
still
and
against
Furious,
that.
like-
It's the technology is starting to get outdated. It's not. It breaks down all of the time.
You don't want a
and
Dom
it
who's
doesn't
like,
go that
"Shoot."
fast. No, it just doesn't go that fast either with it. So I think I still stand by it. I think a blend of their moving motion simulator style with Transformers or Spider-Man, take that and blend it with the right amount of screens and effects, and you could have felt like you were in these super fast cars.
Yeah,
like
I agree, yeah.
Giant oversized cars that fit 12 people at a time, but.
Hey, if we can take that
Nonetheless.
limo to the concert where Aerosmith has been
Dreams can
indefinitely
happen.
performing, we can do it here.
Agree. So, last one of the ones that are currently represented, we have E.T. Do we think this is represented well at Universal in its attraction or underrepresented?
I think it is still represented well. I don't know. I once you're in, it's fine. I wasn't going to say anything. It's like. I love once you get through the video and you get your passport or whatever, when you're in the redwood forest, I feel like that's a moment where I'm like, I really do feel like I'm in the opening of the movie where he, or like when Elliot's leaving the Reese's Pieces, even the bikes in the beginning, it goes off the rails halfway through, but I don't know. I still feel like I get this feeling every time I'm on it, when the music wells and you're there and you're on the bike and you're with ET, and I don't know how you would do it any other way.
I actually think it's perfectly represented the way it is because the only thing you could do better is taking you through a montage of the actual movie. And let's be real, animatronics are great. They have come such a long way, even since Universal started. But there is no way I'm going to have the same feelings about this attraction if you have an animatronic ET or Elliot and Gertie and like it's
They
not
went to the playground.
Yeah, it's not going to look as natural. It's not going to look as as free. So yeah, we have the end portion of the movie.
Well, I like that it's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's like it's like, okay, we never got a real ET sequel, but we got a ride that is the sequel. I think that's a cool idea.
Well, and that's what I was going with that. It's like, you have that same kind of theme as the end of the movie, and then you're going to the Green Planet, and you see what happened after the movie now in the sequel. And because of that, it's it's just it's its own separate thing. It's not living dependent off the movie.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it ends up being timeless in a sense with that. So I think it's perfectly represented. If they were to ever try to alter it to make it more about the original movie, no, not that wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect the way it is. But we're going to go rapid fire style through the next couple lists here with this, and we are going to talk about the other franchises / movies that are making money that currently aren't represented at Universal. And I want to get your thoughts on it. It's not a lot of discussion in it because there's nothing there, but we can certainly talk about whether or not something should be there. So this is all domestic gross, not worldwide gross in this. So I'm just getting that out of the way.
Okay.
Of things not represented at Universal. So the first one is the Bourne series. That's made $801 million.
I don't like them. I saw the first one. It was fine. I don't know. They don't do anything for me. It feels like they're a better, like, I understand that they own Bourne, but
Yeah.
I feel like Mission Impossible would be a better represented attraction. I don't even know how you would represent that sort of an attraction. Maybe it is, like you said, like a car with the screens and you're going on a very specific adventure that has been crafted for that. But Bourne isn't like that. Bourne isn't like James Bond. It isn't like that. He doesn't have a set mission. It's kind of like it's this big conspiracy about his, I don't know.
Yeah,
It doesn't work for me.
I agree. I'm not huge on Bourne.
No.
I liked the first movie a lot, and I was okay with everything in the trilogy, but it was never one of those ones like, oh, I have to own this. Like this
Right.
has to be a part of my library. So I know there's a lot of people out there
They're complicated.
who do like it, but no, they are.
They are, like, I can't remember. I saw the second one. I don't know what it was about.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not that type of spy thriller that works for me. I don't know.
He wakes up with amnesia.
Yeah,
That's-
and there are 5 movies about it.
Yeah. So number 2 on this list, the Madagascar franchise with 673 million. And we do have meet and greets, and you can see them in the parades and such, but not in attraction currently.
It would be cool if they did like not like something similar to like Winnie the Pooh at Magic Kingdom, but it was like you were going through maybe the first movie with them all out there, and you got to see like King Julian,
Yeah.
and they were all talking and stuff. It would be fun. I think that would be fun.
I think a lot of these DreamWorks and Illumination movies are very, very missing out. That made no sense. I think they're missing out with a lack of going classic dark rides.
Yeah.
I know that's not Universal's audience is slow dark rides. You know, they make things like E.T. or gosh, not E.T. That is a slow dark ride. Things like Cat in the Hat that are a little bit in between there, but I feel like a lot of these attractions could really, or a lot of these movies could be well represented as dark rides. But this next one's a hoot. Nothing's ever going to come from this, but the franchise itself made $593 million.
Jeez.
And that's, of course, the epic story of the Fockers.
Oh my god. Well, imagine if you could do like a dinner service and it was that scene from the first movie where I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Yeah, I don't even know how you would ever. I mean, people still know these lines. They still have them memorized.
I remember.
I just don't think
like,
it could ever be translated, though.
you could tell if somebody in your house was watching that movie because they were laughing so loud and so hard. I just remember that. And now I watch it and I'm like, what were we laughing about so much? Like, it's still a good movie. I still think it is a funny movie. The first one, at least. Like,
Yeah,
they got a little weird,
the
but
biggest. Yeah, they did. The third movie's awful, and the second one's not too bad. Didn't have the magic of the first, but the first, like, it's, times have changed so much. When back then, one of the biggest laugh reveals was that his name was Gay Fokker.
oh,
And
Gaylord, yeah.
And now it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you really made that joke?
It's funny because when I was in 5th grade, I remember the teacher reading a book, and in the book, the baby's name is Gaylord, and the class was like, and she was like, "That's a name."
Yeah.
Like, it's an old name, but it's also one of those where they were like, you shouldn't really laugh at stuff like. That's not really as funny anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody's in school yelling out Gaylord at people anymore. When I was a little kid, that's what you yelled at people, and the teacher would be like, "That's somebody's name."
Yeah. Well, moving away
I grew up
from
in
the
a small
Fockers,
town, so-
yeah. The next one, with $524 million in the franchise, already has an attraction in Hollywood. Maybe we'll get one here. Kung Fu Panda.
I would love that because I love Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
I love at least the first movie. I saw the second movie once, but I haven't seen after that yet. Not yet. I will.
All I have to say about that is skadoosh.
Skadoosh. I think the first one's great, and what one beat that movie for an Academy Award? I think that movie came out the same year as WALL-E.
Was it 2003?
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure the year.
No, 2003. Get over yourself. I lived in Florida already. It was like 2008.
Was it really that late that it
Yeah.
came out? Oh, I'm just surprised because
Kung Fu Panda 1, 2008.
gosh, I didn't think it was that late.
WALL-E 2008, so that was probably what it was.
Well,
It's a great
yeah,
movie too.
I mean,
so
it's
it's fine. Yeah, I understand why WALL-E won. God, never mind.
I don't. Yeah, you're.
The hard part was I just think Kung Fu Panda the story comes around full circle. I love that everything in the movie's represented. I think it's funny, it's heartfelt, and again, they do have like Poe out and around where you can meet him, but I would like to see the thing in Hollywood and see what that's like.
Yeah, I've only heard amazing things about it. So the last movie that we're probably just gonna laugh about for a second, the franchise with 4 movies at $409 million, American Pie.
I feel like they should have a dessert cart would be great.
Oh my! If they sold
Pie on a stick,
little mini pies with the whole.
Yeah, it's like a donut pie. That's what they can sell it as, and you only know.
That is a great
That's
idea.
how you represent it in the park.
Yeah.
You can have hot dogs too or whatever there.
Yeah, it's a hot dog and pie stand. That's all you need.
And you have to have Eugene Levy eyebrows on when you work there.
Just terrible. Okay, so now for the movies that have made the most money domestically again, the domestic box office, that aren't represented in an attraction. Doesn't mean they aren't in there in some sort of way, but not as a standalone attraction. So first one.
Didn't we just talk about this?
No, that was franchises. So now we're
okay.
talking
Standalone.
Yeah, standalone.
Okay, gotcha.
So Secret Life of Pets made $368 million. It's in the parade.
I think it's inevitable. I think the parade. What I like about the parade float is it's cute. It's it does remind me of those dark ride type things.
Yeah.
So, I love that they hop around and they talk to people and they move around. And I would love to see something like that.
You think that it should be more? It should go beyond just the parade and cinematic celebration.
I mean, the movie's okay, but I think that it has potential.
Yep. I agree with that too. And the next one, I think you're definitely going to be absolutely okay with at $270 million domestically. Sing.
Oh yeah, come on, Major Piggy Power.
What I would love, I know it wouldn't have a ton of repeat value, but I would absolutely love to see something like almost American Idol style.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
With where you
you
vote
vote?
and
Yeah.
and they get all the people who did their stuff in the movies.
Yeah.
Have them record each 5 songs, so that way it was always random.
Yeah.
What they would come out and sing, and then you could vote on them.
Like how they do Monsters Inc. or Turtle Talk with Crush
Yeah.
or something like that. But they come out, you're watching in a screen in a room, and you can vote in your chair just like you used to at the American Idol
Yes.
experience.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, I would love that. And then so that way, if you have however many performers there were in the movie, there was probably 6 or 7 that were prominently featured at some point.
Yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah.
So if each show is made up of 3 of the singers and they each have 5 songs that they could randomly choose from, you have kind of like Star Tours. You have 50 different combinations.
That should replace Shrek. It would work in that theater, and they can do a little pig animatronic out there, like how they have the other ones that are in the boxes and stuff.
No, that personally,
Koala.
for me, that sounds like something cool.
Yeah.
Something that probably won't be made from the next one, at $242 million, Bruce Almighty.
Well, maybe at the Holy Land experience, they'll do something.
Almighty then. Another one at $218 million, the hard R-rated movie that's also part of a franchise but didn't make it onto the franchise list, Ted.
I could see Ted being in a parade or on a float or something like that and being semi PG-13 Ted.
The only thing I can't figure out is why don't they just sell the plush and That way,
Yeah.
when kids ask, well, what movie is he from? You say, not until you're older. Yeah. But, and then finally, part of another franchise, the highest grossing one, domestically made 184 million. It was very close to making our franchise list, but just stayed off of it. And that is Pitch Perfect 2 as part of the Pitch Perfect trilogy.
That's just what we need, more a cappella music everywhere.
Yeah, I'm fine without this one.
I feel like they already technically have something that's trying to represent it, but isn't in there.
Yeah. So
are we not talking about Mamma Mia?
Well, that's the final portion of this.
I thought
the final portion of this is talking about things that didn't make the top 5 in terms of box office and all that. And I know people out there are going to try to like call me out on the box office numbers and stuff. I was very specific with what I chose. They couldn't already be represented in Universal, and then it was split up in franchise, individual, all that. Trust me, it made sense when I was doing it. It probably makes no sense for you. But now the ones that didn't make either of the lists that are still important. So, but as Universal movies, they're important. They make money, but could they be represented in the parks? First one. The 50 Shades trilogy.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. Maybe in one of the hotels.
A 50 Shades package.
Yeah, like a 50 Shades. And they have very specific, those are only for those, like how the pets are only allowed in certain rooms. The whips and chains and Rihanna S&M stuff is in the other
I
rooms.
will definitely be saying that I have a latex allergy. And, or wait, no. I don't want to be in one of those rooms.
Goodness.
I want to stay away. I want to click the box that says,
the hallway only ever plays that Beyonce cover, the Beyonce redo of Crazy in Love.
Fantastic. Next on the list, Snow White and the Huntsman. 2 movies out of it. Thought they'd get more out of it, but
I forgot about the second movie. I mean, I saw both movies. The second one's all right.
Yeah, I honestly, I think the design of it is beautiful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I feel like it could be translated into a theme park well, and it would add that, Disney doesn't own Snow White.
It would have been a really cool meet and greet, for sure. Imagine, like, if they had built, like, kind of her throne with a lot of those, like, jagged pieces kind of coming out, and, like, she had the crown or one of the dresses on, or if it was her and her sister, like, from the second movie, or you had a huntsman. Yeah. That would have been a really cool... At least, like, I wish they did more of those, like, character meet and greets to pump up the movie, even if they're not going to do an attraction.
I'd like to see something on it one day. Even if the movies weren't amazing, the design felt like it could be translated into a theme park just really well.
That Florence and the Machine song that they use, that's like the score of the first movie, is phenomenal as well.
Next one, How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, yeah. This is a given. I feel like of all the DreamWorks franchises that they should be representing, it should be How to Train Your Dragon. I haven't seen them, but my nephew loves them. And all I've heard, like, from my adult friends, I guess. Yeah. Well, my friends are all adults, I guess. But, like, they've said how good they are. And I just can't... I can imagine, like, you ride the dragon or something maybe even more simple than that. I don't know.
Yeah, regardless of what it's translated to in terms of an attraction, they are easily DreamWorks' best movies for animation. I know I'm like stuttering as I'm saying that. It's the quality of the films are the best. Like the writing is tight, the action's tight. It has a little bit of the silly humor, but it's not like Kung Fu Panda and Madagascar and Shrek in that way where I feel like those movies, while adults can enjoy them, kids are going to be the ones primarily enjoying it. It's How to Train Your Dragon is as close as DreamWorks has ever gotten to doing a Pixar movie in terms of having a mature sensibility of it, but still having that playful tenderness to it. So just one day it's going to be coming to Universal, and I cannot wait for it. This next one would probably fit in perfectly for Horror Nights. There would have to be a little bit of maneuvering around because now Blumhouse is producing it and Universal's distributing it, but they didn't distribute the first movie in the franchise. What am I talking about?
Chucky?
No.
Scream?
No.
The first movie in a franchise.
The first movie, Universal did not distribute or make, but then the second and third, Universal's distributing them, and Blumhouse is producing them.
I don't know. And it's a scary movie?
The thrillers.
Eagle Eye 2 and 3.
I would say superhero thriller.
Hancock?
No?
Superhero thrill. Oh, Unbreakable?
Yes,
Oh,
the Unbreakable
yes. Yeah,
trilogy.
God,
so
those-
specifically Split and Glass. Those
Spoiler
are
alert.
made by...
Jeez.
Oh,
You're not supposed to know Split is in the Unbreakable series. I mean, you aren't. Okay, in fairness, the trailer is out
Yeah.
now. You should know.
the
That's why-
trailer's
yeah.
out. It kind of revealed all
And I will
that,
say
so-
that trailer is excellent, too.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that trailer quite a
Yeah,
bit.
but I would love, now that it's all coming full circle, I
That
would
would
love
be
to
a
see
really
this
cool
with Horror
Horror
Nights.
Nights. Yeah, because imagine like David Dunn and like the with his like rain jacket thing he always wears, like, and you know maybe it's like storming and you go in and then the Beast. Oh, I mean he's like 12 different people, so he could be any one of those. And
Yeah.
I think that's actually a really good idea.
I completely agree with that.
First
so.
name Mister, last name Glass.
I would love to see that one day. It wouldn't probably
those
work
movies.
as an attraction, but as HHN,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. And we've now run out of time to talk about the last one, which of course was
No.
the Mamma Mia
I
franchise.
think that this could be represented in the park, though. I honestly think that they should get rid of the acapella thing that they're doing, and on the music stage, they could do like a mini like production of the play that's 20 minutes long or something like that. Come out and sing Mamma Mia, Dancing Queen, and whatever. Put people in a good mood and do whatever. That's I if you're telling me you would be against ABBA songs being played while you're around in the park, I say shame on you.
I don't know how the distribution rights and stuff for playing ABBA in the parks works or anything like that. So that's just, there's a whole lot there.
You
A whole lot
dance.
there to be discovered.
You can jive, Craig.
I
have the
could
time
have
of
the
your
time of
life.
my life. Yes, I know that, but I really don't have any thoughts on that. It's just
It's the only way we'll get Kevin into a theme park.
and he'll never listen to this, so it doesn't matter that we made that joke. You know what though? I will say the movies have a cult following, and they are people who love it, absolutely love it. So I think even though it might not appeal to the broadest of audiences in it.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things, if the people who end up seeing it enjoy it and it makes them happy, that's the perfect kind of thing you look for in an attraction. Something that might not be appealing from the outside, but then once you're in there, like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect to like that so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it could work. But okay, so thank you guys out there for putting up with that, which was essentially 45 minutes of us just gabbing about movies that we like, and the ones that are at Universal, the ones we would like to see come to Universal Parks. So I hope you enjoyed it. And Ryno, thank you so much for having that discussion with me.
Yes.
Yeah. So, of course, if you need links to anything else for this show and any of the others on the Diz Unplugged podcast network, head to DizUnplugged.com. You'll find links to our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as our email address, uopodcast@DizUnplugged.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. I forgot what kind of button it was, but we want you to hit that thumbs up button, as well as leave us comments below about all the movies that we talked about. We want to hear what you have to say regarding it. We're very, very excited for it. And then if you're listening to this on iTunes, your probably best way to get in touch with us is through social media or the email, so we can hear your thoughts on the movies and all that. But with that, of course, also make sure you're subscribed and you are rating and reviewing us. So thank you once again to Ryno, as well as everyone out there who listened and watched to this. To this. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will be back with you next week for another episode of the Diz Unplugged Universal Edition. But until then, remember, we still haven't changed the name.